This is quite personal, but I am willing to share. I haven't done one of the True Voice worksheets in a while and decided that today would be a nice opportunity, just aligning with lots of different timings and cycles that feel important to me personally, and also having a more quality space today to do some voice work and not really having a clear sense of a starting point or a launch pad of where I wanted to move into. So I guess I kind of used this worksheet as a reflection and a check-in simultaneously, and I'm just sharing an insight into, I guess, how I am evolving in my interactions with resources that I've created, because the beauty of these is the more you connect with them, explore them, get to know them, the easier it is for you to make adaptations and set a slightly different tone for how you work with them. And obviously making those little shifts, they're going to give you different results. So today I felt like annotation and drawing was most appropriate for me, and I've gone. I only had highlighters available for me to use, but yeah, there's lots of different kind of themes going on here that are very much, they're personal to me. They're related to a kind of energy levels and feelings of kind of where I want things to be. There's some symbolism in there which is resonant for me as well, and it just so happens that in my own journaling practice and kind of general reflections, and also in my creative practice as well, I've been coming back to drawing and design and moving more away from the written as a starting point, at least, because there's something powerful in there for me that allows me to kind of come out of that cognitive, rational, logic, language sort of place and connect more easily and more quickly with the part of me that feels that it's more related to my vocal identity, or at least my sense of voice in an expressive, maybe performative capacity. So that was an interesting place to begin in order to kind of get me to what I've just experienced just now. So I used that as a, not even 5 minutes exercise, and kind of reflected on that and had my impressions from that. And then I decided to move into a combined practice of free improvisation and use that as a kind of platform to do a vocal warm-up, but then also to integrate movement with that as well, to try and create a kind of an all-in-one exercise, really. So that's something that I have played with before, but I think I don't know if I would have felt so confident as to explore that in the way that I did today if I hadn't had that kind of, it's almost like an inspiration of like, what do I want my voice to feel like today, and what's stirring within me that I want to bring from my like internal space into the shared sonic space. and I'm in my solo practice, so there's nobody there witnessing that for me, for that kind of social feedback piece. But I will say that coming to this exercise with a view to going inward and asking oneself, what's going on in there? There is a kind of, you're talking about layers and segmenting perspectives and awareness. So there's that observer's awareness that comes in when you're doing these kind of exercises, that provides you with a kind of opportunity for duality, because you're trying to create a bit of a communication bridge between the kind of inner and outer worlds. I'm massively simplifying that to try and get my point across, but that does then carry through into the exercise that I just did, where I was kind of bouncing between like reflecting on what I'd done, and then also there's part of your listening and receptive space that you're cultivating, because you've set yourself a kind of a goal post or a marker where you're kind of going, oh, is this how I am envisaged? Is this and it's not, I'm not relating that or creating that marker based on aesthetic criteria, and I think that's really important to note, and that's definitely a strong philosophy in my work, is that it's about the personal expression. It's about your true voice, so your aesthetic taste will be different from someone else's, but that's not to say that the pressure to perform and portray in an aesthetically pleasing way, or one at least that has been a taste-making perspective on that we are influenced by societally and culturally, doesn't bleed into our practice space, because of course it does. We're influenced by all these different things every day, and it would be foolish to think that that cannot influence the way that we shape and create. So I suppose we're endeavouring to try and remove that hypercritical, analytical agent within us that is maybe, or not remove it, but certainly turn the volume down on it, so that we, in our own practice time, don't feel like we are performing to a panel of judges that are going to scrutinise us and unpick everything we're doing whilst we're in the moment, and the purpose of being in an opportunity to play and explore and hopefully connect with that flow part of us, is that we give ourselves space away from the cacophony of all of that judgment. So that's a new insight for me today, just in terms of using that as a kind of starting point to go into a session. So I do have the worksheets that are like a pre-Voicework check-in and post-Voicework check-in, and those are really more appropriate for that written reflection. So I think maybe there's scope there to think about using those two resources interchangeably, depending on what kind of mood you're in. Some days you're really in a writing space and a really kind of cognitive space, and other days you're much more, it's about verbal, it's about emotion, it's maybe something that's less tangible and that is not a solid idea that can be expressed or articulated, in which case coming to a worksheet like that with a kind of blank canvas and a bit of a framework means that you can do writing if you want, but also you can scribble all over it, which is something that I enjoy doing. So I just wanted to share that because yeah, that was quite exciting for me, and I felt like the vocal play exploration warm-up felt really activating and stimulating, and kind of hit on all of those things that I felt I was wanting to. So there's definitely something there. A takeaway from this is it's like envisioning our potentiality, where we would like to be, and then holding that, or going straight into the kind of space that will enable you to play at that. So it's kind of the fear of failure or not hitting the mark is reduced by the fact that you know that you are in a play space, and that you're removing as best you can these other potential barriers that would otherwise disrupt or get in the way of you being able to reach those goals that you've set yourself. And it's almost like we're intercepting that space, and not allowing the disruption of those components to come in, because they're not conducive to a play space, and we know that. So it's almost like we've kind of tricked the mind a little bit of being like, okay, you know, that's great, but that's not what we need in this session, thank you. See you later. And yeah, giving yourself an opportunity to be surprised by yourself and by what might come through if you move into the play in a more uninhibited fashion, of just being like, right, let's go for it. I've set the tone, I've set my intention, let's go, you know? So I really hope that my excitement translates, because I'm seeing new ways for these worksheets to be explored, and I really look forward to trying some of them out with you. And if you feel like you would benefit from having that one-to-one contact time and working with these kind of resources, and exploring them in a bit more depth beyond just self-study, then reach out to me and we can talk about one-to-one sessions if that is something that appeals to you.